Alright. Hey everyone, I'm quadraaceps, and I speedrun Octpath Traveler. So, category that I'll be running is all males, and what we're going to be doing is we're going to be finishing all the chapters of all the 4 male characters in this game. And there are going to be some pretty cool strats involved, so I hope everyone enjoys this run. It's going to be a pretty different run compared to the standard Octopath run that a lot of people might be familiar with. Owing to the fact that this is one of the newer categories in the speedrun. So yeah, definitely excited to be showing off this category and new strats in general. So I'm going to be starting the timer pretty soon. Time will start when we select our first character, and then it will end when the last cutscene of the last chapter ends. So let me drink some water real quick. Pop my water because I'll be commentating this alone. It's gonna be pretty action-packed 2 hours, so hope you all enjoy it. Alright, so timer starts when I select yes, so I'm gonna start pretty soon in 3, 2, 1, and start. So I'm gonna start here with Cyrus. Cyrus is the scholar character in this game, and that's basically the mage character. And the reason why we start with Cyrus is because he's gonna give us the quickest access to a skill known as evasive maneuvers, which essentially is a skill that allows you to travel longer distances without getting an encounter. So compared to if you don't have evasive maneuvers, the distance you can travel is about roughly 2.5 times more. And I'm gonna explain things along the way. There's a lot to explain, so hopefully y'all can take the info in as I explain. So right after starting the game, what I did was I went back into the palace and I got a Thunder Soulstone. And Soulstones are consumable items that deal fixed amount of damage to your enemies, and this is very useful in the speedrun because not all our characters are going to be geared up to deal a lot of damage. So having items that deal a fixed amount of damage is really nice. And they're going to be a very strong source of damage throughout the entire run. So, and Soulstones come in 3 sizes: small, medium, and large. What I picked up there was a small Soulstone, and the larger Soulstones that are more powerful you're gonna pick up later in the run in higher level areas. But for the purposes of the Cyrus's chapter 1, the small Soulstones will be sufficient. Oh, is there double audio? What's double? Is it the game audio or the... Okay. Just let me know if there are any other audio issues. We did some checking before. It should be fine. If there is a very glaring issue, just let me know, and I'll try to get it sorted. Alright, thank you everyone in the chat. Alright, so good to know that nothing is wrong. And what I did there before I purchased my quartz rod was actually I scrutinized this guard here and picked up another soulstone. So chapter 1s are where we are going to be introduced to a lot of the game mechanics, and we're going to be scrutinized Cyrus's path action, and path actions are what we use to interact with NPCs in this game. And scrutinize is going to be able to give us a lot more extra items later on, which is going to be useful. Also, I'll explain Scrutinize more later. Right now, we're gonna dive right into the combat system. So I purchased that Quartz Rod because it's gonna give us more elemental attack to finish these enemies off very quickly. And you're gonna notice that all these enemies have a certain number of shields and weaknesses. And every time you hit an enemy for its weakness, their shields go down by 1. And if an enemy has 0 shields, they're going to be broken. And when they are broken, they take more damage. They lose the ability to move. And it also guarantees escape. But I'm going to want to kill some of these enemies here because I want to farm job points, which is what I'm going to be using to learn skills. And it's going to be able to give us evasive maneuvers right after this chapter, after we go and grind for more job points. So Russell here is pretty easy fight. You just need to understand what to do. So we want to take out the ads first because it's very slow to have them do their animations and attacks. I get a pretty bad turn order here. Basically, you want to see Cyrus go before the ads so you can break them this turn. They're weak to fire, so you can just use Cyrus's Fireball here. Good thing none of them used Icicle, which is a really slow spell, which deals a lot of damage. And I'm gonna immediately chuck one of the Soul Stones that I picked. Oh. Looks like I messed this up. Looks like I was a bit caught up in explaining too much there. I was a bit caught up in explaining things there. I did the strat wrongly. So what I was supposed to do is I was supposed to use the Thunder Soulstone, which I picked up in the palace to break the ads. So sorry about that. So I'm just gonna make my way back to the boss. So the good thing about this game is that even if you die, you just respawn in the previous screen. So no deaths are really going to cost you a whole lot of time. Oh, I also believe that English is the leading language, right? I believe English is in the lead, so I'm gonna switch to English once I get a confirmation from a moderator, if that's possible. I forgot to set it before this run. Alright, so the first turn is the same. I'm just gonna take off one shield from the ads with Fireball here. No problem, I'll switch the language right after this fight. So you're gonna be hearing Cyrus's English voice acting right after this fight. And here you're gonna see Icicle. Yeah, it's really slow and it deals more damage, so that's why you don't want them to act. So gonna use the Thunder Soulstone that we picked up to break the ads, and with the Light Soulstone that I scrutinized, this should be enough to take out the ads. So there you go. We took out the ads. So now we're just gonna eyeball our HP and heal up if we cannot take any more damage. So I'm just gonna play it safe and do this, because I took a lot of damage just now from the ads.
You got time for a quick donation?
We got time after this fight. So let me just explain the rest of this combat system first while we're in this fight. So yeah, so basically I explained the boost and the break mechanic already. So the other mechanic that the battle system revolves around is the boost mechanic. So you're seeing that I'm actually using what's called boost points to actually not only increase the number of hits that I'm dealing, but also increase the damage of my skills here. So boost points, you accumulate them at the end of every turn. You start off with 1 boost point, and you accumulate 1 at the end of every turn that you don't use a boost point. And they can be used to increase the number of hits of your normal attacks or certain skills. It can be used to increase the damage, and also for buffs and debuffs, it increases the duration of those skills. So you definitely want to take advantage of your boost points as much as possible, and not just to break your enemies, but also to deal a lot of damage to them when they are broken. So that's really the 2 mechanics that the battle system revolves around. So yeah, that's Russell, and now we got some time for donations.
Well, I got one really awesome donation to read off here, and it's a $100 donation from Nickel Dime saying, excited to see this Octopath run. So awesome donation, Nickel Dime, and thank you so much for sending some lives. So that's our donation. Thank you.
Thank you so much. I'm gonna switch the voice language to English now, since English is in the lead. And yeah, now that we're done with chapter 1, we're gonna head into this higher level area known as the Whistlewood. And this is where we're gonna be, ideally we want to get our JP for learning evasive maneuvers, because to learn evasive maneuvers, I'm gonna need a total of 130 JP.
I've done my research on you.
And I need to learn 2 base skills of the Scholar class, which will unlock support skill. And the first support skill of the Scholar class is evasive maneuvers. And to learn 2 base skills, I'm gonna need 130 JP. So I scrutinized a medium soulstone in Atlas Dam before we faced Russell. This is actually a really good encounter, and I'm caught by surprise, so unfortunate. But that gives me a bit more time to explain what's going on here. I scrutinized a medium soulstone before Russell, and that's gonna be used to kill the encounter here for JP. And that's also why we didn't use the medium soulstone in Russell. That's because we really need it for the JP here. And basically what you're looking for are bugs. So I got bugs there, but I got ambushed. So this is a higher level area, so it's not uncommon that you get ambushed here. This is actually a really good encounter as well, because there's bugs, but of course I get surprised again, so a really bad RNG here. It's about a 25% chance to get a good encounter in Whistlewood, so it's not too unreasonable. Good thing is, like I said, if you die, you just respawn outside, so you can try again, and it doesn't take too much time to get another try. So hopefully we get our good encounter and we don't get ambushed pretty soon, so we can actually get on the rest of the run. So this is actually probably the most reset heavy point of the run. It's a good thing it's in the early game. So you typically just reset for Whistlewood. You can take multiple Whistlewoods, but if you want a really good time, you're gonna want to get like a first or second try Whistlewood. And yeah, this is not a good encounter because there aren't any bugs. So the few encounters that we want are encounters with bugs in them. In some cases, you actually have enough JP. You can teach Cyrus a skill known as Lightning Blast, which would allow you to break another group in this map called Howlers, and then you can kill them with the stone. But we don't have Lightning Blast, so we are not able to take that particular group, which is 8%. So with Lightning Blast, you can have a 33% chance to get a good encounter in this screen. Yeah, this is the slowest group here because these frogs without helmets, they always just buff themselves on the first turn, so you kind of just have to sit and wait until the next turn to die. This is definitely one of the more frustrating parts of the run, and there's nothing you can really do about it. It's really just RNG. But the rest of the run is actually pretty stable, so not to worry. We just need to get past the Whistlewood and we're good. So we get 5 bucks here. That's really good. This is a 5% encounter in Whistlewood, so a pretty rare encounter. And good thing we don't get ambushed, so I'm able to just kill them with the medium soulstone here, and then we can be on our way. And yep. Just gonna learn Blizzard, Lightning Blast, 2 very important skills, and then I'm gonna equip evasive maneuvers. So I taught Blizzard and Lightning Blast because we're gonna be using them for the entire run. Actually, I'm gonna teach Firestorm later as well, but Blizzard and Lightning Blast are gonna be more relevant for this earlier section of the run. So now that we're done with Whistlewood, we can actually just go and do the rest of the run now. We're not gonna pick up our characters yet. Instead, what we're gonna do is we're gonna do exploration. And exploration is basically where you're gonna want to pick up resources so that you can rush through the rest of the game. And along the way, we're also gonna be tagging towns because we can't fast travel back to towns we've already visited. So that's why you saw me tag Noble Court there, because we're gonna want to go back there later for another character's story. Yeah, there aren't any known methods of RNG manipulation except for safety saving, which would guarantee that you don't get an encounter on certain screens. I'm kidding. There are no RNG manipulation. There is no RNG manipulation. But it's just superstition.
I've done my research on you. An interesting dilemma.
So the first thing we're gonna want to do is I'm gonna go to tag a town known as Cobblestone, because that's where we're gonna want to pick up one of our characters later. This category is called All Males, and I've already explained at the start of the run, we're gonna be completing all the chapters of our male characters. So Cyrus, the Scholar, Therion the Thief, Alphen the Apothecary, and Ulbrich the Warrior. And All Males is a very interesting run because in most categories where you have access to all the other characters, you're going to want to pick up this character known as Tressa. Tressa is a merchant, and she's really powerful because she allows you to purchase a lot of items from NPCs. She generates a lot of money, and she's also a merchant by base class, which has the strongest skill in the game for a speedrun, which is called Hired Help. So without Tressa, you're actually pretty limited on resources, and you also don't get as much money in this speedrun. So it's really interesting to see how the strategies for half-game categories that do not have Tressa, like All Males or Rogues, it's really interesting to see how the strategies pan out and contrast with categories that do have access to Tressa. But just because we don't have access to 2 merchants in our party doesn't mean that this party is going to be lacking in any sort of firepower. In fact, we're going to be able to deal a lot of damage with weapons in this category, which is definitely a very cool part of this run. And I'll explain that more in detail when we get there. So the first thing I'm going to do here, this is more for safety. I'm going to reset the step counter at the screen here, because every time you go into a new screen, it resets your step counter so you don't get an encounter. And this screen in particular is very infamous because it's very long. So even with evasive maneuvers, you're going to get encounters a decent portion of the time. So that's why I did the step reset there, and I just picked up the soul stone because it's really along the way, and no harm picking it up. And the next area we're gonna want to go to is to Moonstruck Coast, where we're gonna get the Merchant Shrine. So I haven't explained shrines. Shrines are where you can unlock jobs for secondary jobs for your party. So it's kind of like Final Fantasy V, where you're able to, you know, have 2 jobs on every character. And we're gonna pick up okay, first we run into this encounter, which basically just means we're gonna die. But that's why I did the safety save there. And like I said, this screen is really infamous. Both to Stoneguard and to Moonstruck Coast are pretty dangerous passes. So that's why I did the safety save there, just in case I die. But yeah, we're gonna head over to Moonstruck Coast to pick up the Merchant Shrine. And like I said, the Merchant class has access to Hired Help, which is a skill where you pay money to deal damage. So a pay-to-win skill. But the very cool thing about Hired Help is that it doesn't deal damage based off your stats. It actually deals damage based off a separate line of stats. So it's able to bypass the fact that your characters don't actually have a lot of levels or stats to deal damage. So before going to the Merchant Shrine, I'm going to do what's called a save and quit here. And basically what it does is it also resets the step counter, just like going to a different screen. Yeah, so Hired Help, we're going to be using Hired Help to deal a lot of damage in this run. And the thing about Hired Help is that the main tier of Hired Help that we're going to use for damage, which is Veterans, takes 30,000 leaves per use, which is a lot of money. Just trust me on that. If you want to, you can even call it, you could even call it $30,000. But leaves are the currency in this game, and it's very expensive. That's why you also have to go on exploration to get the money to fund your Hired Help. But yeah, so that's one of the big reasons why you want to go on exploration. But it's super worth it to get the money to use Hired Help because it just deals so much damage. And on top of that, on top of dealing damage, Hired Help is also really useful for breaking enemies because it comes in a variety of weapon types, which you can use to break enemies. So I'm going to tag Goatshore and I'm going to scrutinize the guy by the entrance, but I'm not going to pick up the item yet. So, because we're going to pick it up later. And I'm going to scrutinize this guy here for information that I'm going to use to complete a quest later for money. And I haven't really explained Scrutinize, so Scrutinize is Cyrus's path action. It's how we're going to interact with NPCs in this game. And Scrutinize allows Cyrus to interrogate NPCs to get information from them. And this information can be used to complete quests, can be used to pick up more items, can also unlock like extra items in shops, but we're not going to be doing that in this speedrun. But yeah, so did 2 scrutinizes there. We're gonna pick up the item and complete the quest later. And the next thing, next place we're gonna go to is Lock of the Lost King. So we come to this area because it's very close to Goldshore, which is a town we have to go back to later anyway. And there's a lot of money here and a lot of soulstones. So here I'm picking a Thunder Soulstone Large. So we've already seen small soulstones and medium soulstones. Large soulstones are gonna be dealing a lot of damage. So small stones deal 200 damage, medium soulstones deal 1001, and large soulstones deal 2007 to unbroken enemies. And when an enemy is broken, they take twice the damage. And if an enemy is not broken, but you use a stone of an element that they're weak to, it deals 1.3 times the amount of damage. So a lot of Chapter 1 bosses don't have that much HP, so you're actually going to be able to rush them with just soulstones. So that's why you want to pick up soulstones before you start to pick up your characters. And we're going to take advantage of the fact that we're going to take advantage of the weaknesses of these bosses and use soulstones that they're weak to, so it deals just enough damage to take them out. So that's the first branch of exploration done. So I'm going to warp back to Cobblestone and I'm going to go over to the next area, the next town that we need to go to. We're going to go to Query Quest to start Cyrus's Chapter 2. Along the way, I'm going to tag a few more towns. So Sunshade here. The reason why we tag Sunshade is not because there's a character here we want to pick up, but rather it's because Sunshade is the closest town to another town, a Chapter 3 town known as Saintsbridge, which we're gonna have to go to later. And after tagging Sunshade, I'm gonna go over to Clearbrook. attack Clearbrook. And then we're going to be going to Query Quest, like I said. So we're going to want to start Cyrus's Chapter 2 while we're in Query Quest, because every time you go into a town and you can start a new chapter, it prompts you to do so. And if you decline, you actually have to go all the way to the tavern to restart it. So it's really slow to do that, so you just start the Chapter 2 first. And there's no harm in doing so. You don't have to complete it right away. You can actually just leave before completing it. So we're just going to do part of Cyrus's Chapter 2, and then we're going to leave and pick up our next character. I just realized my timer is probably in the red. That's because I haven't it's still on the first split, because I'm not really splitting for a marathon. So I'm just gonna put it all the way down to the last split. just so it's in the green. It's a bit more pleasant for the eyes. So now we're in Query Quest. Like I said, we're going to want to start Cyrus's Chapter 2 now. And there's nothing much to do in this chapter. We just have to do a few scrutinizes and do a quiz, and then we can just leave. Gonna scrutinize on that here. Pick up the Wind Soulstone, medium, which is very useful. It's just in the house. No reason not to pick it up. We're just gonna do these 2 scrutinizes here for the quest, the story quest. They're gonna do a quiz. So obviously for the speedrun, we know the answers to the quiz, so not difficult at all. It's always the middle option for this chapter, and now we can leave. So we're going to want to pick up our next character now. The next character that we're going to be picking up is Therion. And there's a very specific reason why we want to pick up Therion first. It's because Therion has a unique ability which allows him to unlock purple chests in this game. So, so far, the exploration that we've done when we went to the Gold Shore area was had no purple chests. But in the next area of exploration that we're going to go to, we're going to need Therion to unlock certain chests. And these chests are very important because not only do they contain a lot of money, but also very strong weapons for the speedrun, which we're going to be using for the entire run. So definitely want Therion in our party for this. Nice, I skipped the encounter on this screen. It's a very long screen and very likely to get an encounter here, so skipping it is definitely helpful. And really nice part about this game is that not only can you skip cutscenes, you can also skip the character's chapter 1 if you're not if they're not your starting character. So Therion's Chapter 1 dungeon is a bit peculiar. It's a man's type dungeon, and man's type dungeons don't your step counter doesn't reset when you enter a new screen in a man's type dungeon. So what I'm gonna do is actually I'm just gonna take the encounter because it's very easy to break it, and failing to run from it doesn't actually lose that much time. But yeah, that's why I'm gonna get an encounter here most of the time. It's just because the step counter doesn't reset in these types of dungeons. And Cyrus is first, so I can't break him. Cyrus. Good thing I got the YOLO flea. Quote unquote YOLO flea. It's not really that YOLO, but whatever. Yeah, but now we got Heathcote. So Heathcote has about 28,000 HP, so it's not enough to use a large soulstone. But he's weak to thunder, so I'm just gonna chuck a thunder soulstone that's gonna deal 3,500 damage because he's weak. It does 1.3 times the amount of damage. So now we picked up Therion. And we can proceed with this next section of exploration. So yeah, you can really see the power of soulstones there. Normally, I mean, if you were to do that fight casually, you'd probably have to break Heathcote and use your skills to deal damage. But now we just use soulstones in the speedrun. I'm gonna steal 2 items here, Nourishing Nut and Energizing Pomegranate. Pomegranates are consumable items that give you BP instantly, so you don't have to wait 4 turns to generate BP. So very strong items. And the Nourishing Nut is an item that increases your maximum HP permanently. And we're gonna give that to another character later to set him up for one of the later bosses in this run. It's actually very precise, the HP. So yeah, Therion's path action is steal. Obviously, this allows him to steal items from NPCs. The catch about Therion's path action is that it's based on percentages. So you're not guaranteed to steal items, and of course, strong items are going to be very hard to steal. But the cool thing about Therion's Chapter 1 is that all the items there are 100% steals. So we're able to get the Energizing Pomegranate and the Nourishing Nut for free. And Nourishing Nuts are pretty scarce, and especially since we don't have access to Tressa, who can purchase the other Nourishing Nuts in this game. So being able to steal the Nourishing Nut from Boulderfall is definitely it definitely has a lot of value. So I pick up the Hunter Shrine here. It's gonna be very important for our equipment setups later. Because not only do you have access to the skills of this class, you also have access to the weapons, the weapon types. So hunters can equip bows and axes. So later on, we're going to be using that to our advantage and giving a particular axe to our late game hunter. So we're going to tag Victor's Hollow here. Then we're going to head over to Dusk Barrow. And the Dusk Barrow screen is a pretty risky screen. Basically what you're going to want to do is you're going to want to do a save and quit at the save point just before Dusk Barrow. You can actually YOLO and run to Dusk Barrow, but it's very likely to get an encounter. And you can even get an encounter on the way to the save point. So, and since this is a very high level area, if you get an encounter here, you're most likely going to die. So definitely don't want to see an encounter here. Gonna try to make my movement as clean as possible. Take the fewest amount of steps possible. So bonking in this game actually doesn't count towards your step counter, so you can run at a wall as much as you want. You won't get an encounter. What does count towards your step counter is just moving pixels. But yeah, once we do the save and quit, we can just go to Dusk Barrow for free. We're gonna pick up the copper pouch there, which we can sell for more money later. And now in Dusk Barrow, we're gonna want to go to the shop. And we're gonna pick up some very important items. I don't need any. Pick up 2 purifying dust and 6 ruinous seed. And these are very important materials for Alphen later. He's gonna be making use of them. But before we pick up Alphen, we're gonna want to do a bit more exploration first. Also, you notice that there was a 30,000 chest in Dusk Barrow. There was a purple chest. That's why you want to get Therion before you go to Dusk Barrow. So yeah, it's all routed with a purpose. And of course, this next area that we're gonna go to also has a purple chest. So Therion is very useful for the speedrun. Actually, Therion gives us access to a lot more money than, for example, a category that doesn't have Therion. I mean, obviously. What I meant to say was compared to, let's say, females, where you have access to Tressa. Well, females doesn't have access to Therion, so you actually don't. You actually lose out a lot of money from purple chests. But the good thing is that you get access to 2 merchants, which gives you the ability to collect a lot more bosses as well. But I'm throwing out a lot of proper nouns here, so I'll try to explain those when we get there. This screen is called Everhold Tunnels. It's a pretty dangerous screen. It's very long. What I'm gonna do is I'm gonna go to the end here and I'm going to say no to face the optional boss. And that actually resets my step counter. So I'm gonna take advantage of that and reset my step counter in between getting all these items. So the dangerous part is just getting to this boss trigger. So definitely don't want to... I mean, you don't want to see an encounter here, obviously. It's a really high level area. But the reason why we want to come here and take the risk anyway is because there's a lot of good items here. So on the way before tunnels, I actually picked up a light soulstone lard. And now in tunnels, I picked up the 35,000 chest and I picked up the knowledge staff, which is one of the strongest staffs in this game and definitely the strongest staff that you have access to that you can just pick up off the ground. And also pick up the death cleaver, which is the second best axe in this game. Alright, so now we can pick up Alphen. So we want to go to tunnels before we pick up Alphen, so we can take advantage of the weapons that we pick up in tunnels. So I'm going to equip it right here, knowledge staff and death cleaver. So Alphen, as an apothecary, has access to axes and also some pretty strong axe skills. So we're going to use Alphen. We're gonna be giving the Death Cleaver to Alphen for pretty much the entire run. And then Cyrus gets the knowledge staff because, of course, he's the scholar, he's the mage. He is gonna make use of the knowledge staff to deal elemental damage. A nice thing about the knowledge staff as well is that it also has a very large speed bonus. So speed influences how likely your characters are to go before others or enemies. And by giving the knowledge stuff to Cyrus, it means that he has a pretty good chance of acting first. And that's actually going to be pretty useful in some of the upcoming fights. So we don't have a stone that hits for Viper's weakness here. So what we're going to do is we're going to use a large light stone. So can't hit it for its weakness, but that's fine because we have knowledge staff here. We're going to use Blizzard to deal damage here. And then the last remaining bit of damage, we're going to use the Death Cleaver here. Just a few taps from the axe here. It's going to be able to take the Viper out.
That's what I'm talking about.
So you can immediately see how strong these weapons are. Our characters aren't even that high leveled, and yet they're dealing a lot of damage. So basically, the weapons are going to be able to save us a lot of resources. Okay, I'm just gonna... Yeah, I'm gonna purchase some more concoct ingredients. So I'll explain what concoct is in a very short moment. But yeah, the weapons are going to be able to save us a lot of money because we don't have to use as many veterans. And it's also going to be able to save us a lot of stones because we can just use our weapons to deal damage instead of throwing stones. And I purchased the concoct ingredients in Dust Barrel and here in Clearbrook because we're going to be using very extensively Alphen's special skill known as Concoct. And this allows Alphen to mix together ingredients to produce various effects. And these effects can range from giving EP to your entire party, which is a very strong concoct, to also take shields off of enemies, which we're going to be doing a lot of in this run. The very nice thing about Alphen's concocts is that they take off 2 to 3 shields off enemies, which is really nice because normally if you want to take off multiple shields, you're going to need to boost. You're gonna need to boost your attacks or use certain skills. So we pick up the Thunder Large there that we scrutinized earlier. And we're doing Alphen's Chapter 2 here because we want that Thunder Large to get Ogre because his boss is weak to Thunder and we don't have any Thunder Stones now. And Alphen's Chapter 2 actually is kind of split into 2 screens. You're gonna need to do an inquire on the next screen. Firstly, I'm going to scrutinize this copper pouch. I'm not going to pick it up yet. Okay, before we do the Inquire, which I was saying, now we're gonna finish this quest as with the information that we scrutinized before going to Lock of the Lost King. Alright, so gonna pick up this chest, and now we're gonna do this Inquire. And I'm gonna warp out. So it might look a bit strange, but it's actually because the next part of Alphen's chapter, we're actually going to be needing to go back to the first screen. So instead of running all the way back to the first screen, you can just warp out, and the next time you're in Goldshore, you're actually on the first screen. So whenever we can do this in chapters that are kind of split into multiple screens, we're gonna take advantage of that and warp out. So now we picked up Ogre, and Ogre Chapter 1 has this forced encounter here. And this is where the speed from knowledge stuff helps, because you're gonna want to use Cyrus's spell to take out these guys. They don't have a lot of HP, like it's less than 500. So, yep, Cyrus is first, thanks to the knowledge stuff. So I'm just gonna be able to use Fireball here to take them out. And again, we're not going to be using too many stones. We're just going to be using the Thunder Stone that we just picked up to deal about half the damage that we need to. And then we're going to deal the remaining damage with the weapons. So I believe Gaston has about 5,006 or 7 HP, or about there. It's less than 6,000. So we're gonna be dealing 3,005 with the stone, and then the rest with our weapons. So I'm gonna defend. This brings me to the start of the next turn.
Out of my way. Take this.
Because I'm gonna need to boost both Alphen's Axe and Cyrus's Lightning Blast here. Just to get more hits in, more damage. Yeah, and that's Gaston. Yeah, something I didn't mention is that the Chapter 1 bosses actually scale in stats according to how many characters you have in your party so far. So if you're picking up a character as your 4th character, the boss is going to have more HP and stats compared to if you pick that character up as your 2nd character, for instance. So that's why you see me needing to deal more damage to pick up characters like Alphen and Ogre, just because we're picking them up later. Whereas with Therion and Heathcote, we just needed to use a single stone. And we're going to take advantage of the fact that we are put outside of Cobblestone right after Albrecht's Chapter 1, and go to Marceline, which is another area for exploration. And fun fact, you can actually go from Sunshade, which would be faster if not for the fact that Albrecht's Chapter 1 puts you outside of Cobblestone. And along the way, I'm going to be getting the Dancer Shrine here. The Dancer class is a class heavily geared towards support. So, I already alluded to the fact that we're going to be picking out a lot of weapons. We've already picked up the Knowledge Staff and the Death Cleaver for this run. And we're also going to pick up 2 more weapons, the Master Spear and the Viper Dagger. So needless to say, we're going to be making very heavy use of weapons in this run. And obviously, the weapons deal damage based off your stats. Okay, I'm going to challenge this guy here. Challenge this guy here with Albrecht's Path Action. And this allows me to reset the step counter once I escape from the battle, which is guaranteed if you are in a challenge. And then I tag Wellspring, because Therion's and Albrecht's chapter 3s are going to be here. And now I can go to Marceline. So yeah, like I said, gonna use a lot of weapons in this run. They're really gonna save us a lot of money and stone. And the damage is based off your stats, so having the Dancer class available to buff our damage is gonna be really useful. The Dancer class also gives you access to some pretty crucial support skills, which I'll explain later. But now, before Marceline, I'm gonna pick up the 20,000 leaves there, which can only be gotten by Therion. I'm gonna pick up another Thunder Soulstone, and then I'm gonna head into Marceline Catacombs. So here's where we're gonna pick up two very important weapons. The first is the Viper Dagger, which I said. This is one of the most powerful daggers in this game. Definitely the strongest dagger that you can pick up for free. And something I'm doing here is called... oops, I missed it. Alright, there we go. So what I did there was called the home buffer glitch. And basically what it allows you to do is that you can buffer past the boss trigger and get the item behind without actually having to face the boss. And the reason why we want to get that Master Spear is because it's going to be very useful for Ogre Eagle later. So yeah, going into the home menu before while moving actually pushes you forward. So you're able to push yourself just in front of just enough that when you refuse to face the boss, you're still like behind the trigger so that you can go and get the item. So now we're in Marceline. We want to come here because there are some really good pieces of armor that you can pick up here, as well as a lot of money. And then I want to scrutinize this guy here because he's gonna give me another soulstone. So soulstones are definitely pretty scarce in this category just because of the fact that, again, you don't have access to Tressa, who's able to purchase soulstones from NPCs. So pretty much the only soulstones that you're gonna have access to are those you can pick up and those you can scrutinize, which aren't many. So we definitely want to scrutinize as many soulstones as all the available large soulstones that we can. Yeah, and mainly large soulstones are what we're going to be looking for because they're going to be very useful for dealing damage in addition to our weapons and veterans. So now we're in Noble Court for Therion's Chapter 2. And it's kind of the same as Alphin's Chapter 2. Like, you have to go in between screens a lot. So I'm just going to start the chapter first, and then I'm going to go back to Query Quest to finish Cyrus's Chapter 2. For the first menu of the game, I'm going to take out the Knowledge Staff, put on the Viper Dagger, and optimize Ogre Eagle. And I'm going to give you Hired Help, Armor Corrosive, Amputation, oops, yeah, your Leg Hold Trap, and Insight. So I'll explain it step by step. We take out the knowledge stuff because we actually don't want Cyrus to be fast in this upcoming fight. Because Gideon's gonna summon ads, and you're gonna want Cyrus to go after Gideon so that when he defends, he's always guaranteed to go before the ads on the next turn. If Cyrus is before Gideon, defends before Gideon summons the ads, there's a chance that the ads might spawn before Cyrus, so you aren't able to kill them. And we optimize Ogre Eagle to give him the armor, and mainly to give him the armor so that he's able to suck up the hits, protect the entire party with Insight, which draws all physical attacks to him.
Here we go.
So this will be alright. I'm going to Leg Hold Gideon. This puts him at the end of the next turn, so Cyrus is able to move before him. This is actually a pretty good turn order, so I'm actually able to do a 2-turn here. So instead of inciting with Ogre Eagle, I can actually just straight up use Vets here to take out the ads. And gonna feed Cyrus more pomegranates so that he's able to use one more set of vets to take out Gideon.
I spare no expense.
So yeah, Gideon doesn't have a lot of HP, and you're gonna be and you see how strong the veterans are. So Gideon's not even broken, and yet we're able to not only take out the ads but also to kill him with just 2 sets of veterans. So yeah, that fight basically you want Cyrus to go before the ads so he can kill them with veterans, and then you kill Gideon on the following turn with another set of veterans. Okay, now I'm gonna have to steal these 2 money items from this dude here. No big deal if I don't actually manage to steal them. There's a lot of backup money later that I can get, but it's nice if you can steal these items because they give quite a bit of money. And right after finishing Cyrus's chapter 2, since we're in Query Quest, we can do a bit more exploration afterwards. I'm gonna go to this next screen. This screen is pretty long. You usually will get an encounter here, but thankfully it's pretty easy to break.
You won't feel a thing.
Okay, so yeah, the bottom one's weak to Dagger, the top one's weak to axes and swords. So I'm gonna use Mercenaries here, which is an AoE sword attack. Yeah, and break the encounter so I'm able to run from it. Yeah, like I said, breaking all enemies guarantees escape. So this next screen is pretty long. I'm gonna want to take advantage of Ulbricht's challenge again. There's an NPC here which you can challenge. But instead of just running away, I'm actually going to take him out with a soulstone. And this actually completes a quest which gives me 11,000 leaves. So it's a very convenient source of money, and it also gives you a critical nut, which, if you remember the nourishing nut, which increases your HP permanently, the critical nut increases, well, your critical stat, which influences how likely you are to land a critical hit on the opponent, which deals 1.25 times the normal amount of damage. And this is going to be relevant for some of the later fights because the skills that we want to use do not have guaranteed critical. So we tag Orwell. That's Alvin's chapter 4 town. And then we are going to want to head to Riverford, which is Ulbricht's chapter 4 town. So we're kind of just, we're pretty ready, we're more or less ready to start rushing like chapter 2s and stuff. Oh, I get this encounter here, which is very unlikely, very unlucky to get this encounter. Yeah, I'm probably just gonna die here, actually, especially since I got caught by surprise. This encounter is definitely very unlikely. Nothing much I can do here.
Have I failed?
But thankfully we just reload at the previous screen, so yeah, that's a big lifesaver. Nice thing about Octopath for marathons is exactly that. Just because you die to unlucky RNG doesn't mean that the run has to die. You just reload at the previous screen and you just lost about 40 seconds or so, depending on the death, how long the death took. Which, I mean, for a PB run, PB pace definitely sucks, but in a marathon settings, definitely better than losing 5-10 minutes or even the entire run just from losing. So we scrutinize a fire large, and now we're gonna go to Refuge Ruins to pick up even more items. So we pick up a Windsoul Stone on the way there, and now in Refuge Ruins I'm gonna pick up this Forbidden Blade here, and I'm gonna do another instance of the home buffer glitch. So gonna buffer past here, really nice. Okay, gonna pick up this enchanted rod. We have the knowledge stuff, so we're not gonna be using it for damage. It's just gonna be sold for money. But a very useful item here that we want to pick up is Force Shield. And it's just gonna make Olbrick a lot tankier. Olbrick's gonna be the main tank for this party in this setup. And just need to scrutinize this lady. Please cooperate. 36%. Nice. Yeah, this section of noble scrutinizes and steals the noble court can be especially brutal because they're far from guaranteed. But good thing we got the 36% scrut for the Thunder L, which is probably the hardest scrut to get in this section. But we're doing Therion's Chapter 2, continuing Therion's Chapter 2 because again, it's split up into different screens. So yeah, failed the 80% there. Alright, nice. I got the Curious Bloom and the Heavy Pouch, which is just for money. Curious Bloom is a really strong concoct ingredient. I'll explain it when we get there, but it's gonna be able to give us a lot of very interesting effects with our concocts. Even if you fail all your scrutinizes, so okay, so I haven't explained the reputation system. Every town you go to, you have 5 reputation. And every time you fail a what's called a rogue path action, so rogue path actions are path actions based on percentages, so like steal or scrutinize, you lose 1 reputation. And if you lose all your reputation, you can't use any more path actions in that town. So you have to go to the tavern to reset your reputation with a bit of money. So yeah, even if I failed like all my scrutinizes or my okay, hold up, I'm just gonna do this menu first. Give the nuts, give you back the staff, and give you the empowering ring that we stole, and optimize you for the Force Shield. And gonna give you endless item. Thief. You don't get anything else. No storm. Give you show goes on. And spearhead. Yeah, that's all. And give you cover and show goes on heightened senses. And heal everyone up just to make sure. Okay, yeah, so reputation. So if you have no more reputation, you can't use any more path actions in that town. But good thing is that a lot of Therion's, pretty much all of Therion's chapters. Oh, another unlucky encounter. But yeah, pretty much all of Therion's chapters, the reputation resets are pretty cheap. This is weak to Dagger. I think it's weak to Dagger, yeah. Okay, good thing this encounter is pretty easy to break as long as Cyrus doesn't die, please. Hey, nice, we got cover there. Olbrick taking one for the team. Doesn't even go down because he's so strong, just so buffed up at this point. Confusion, that's unlucky, but whatever. So yeah, a lot of things to explain here. I'll try to explain them as much as I can. Okay, so in that menu I gave a bunch of skills. What you saw there was covered. So when a character is below 30% HP, they'll be crouching. And then if they were to be hit by another physical attack, the character with cover will actually take the attack for them. So that's why we gave a lot of armor to Olbrick, because not only is he gonna be covering our characters, he's also gonna be using insight to draw the attacks of these ads here. So I'm gonna put armor corrosive on Vanessa here just to make sure that my vets deal more damage. And insight on Olbrick. Insight with Olbrick to draw the attacks. And Now, defend with Cyrus to bring him before the ads on the next turn. Nice, no slashes, that's really good. Slash deals a lot of damage. And Albrecht has a chance to die if you get a lot of slashes. And Vets here, take out the ads. I Lion Dance with Alphen to buff his amputation. So amputation is a very strong axe skill, and it's basically what we're going to be dealing a lot of damage with for this earlier part. And use Spirited, break Vanessa.
Here we go.
Yeah, so first, use of Concoct here, take off 2 shields from Vanessa. And nice, got a poison proc, but didn't get a poison tick, so... because the damage is not needed, it's just time loss. Yeah, amputation here does a lot of damage, 9,000. Yeah, that's a very good fight. Aubrey can die if you take a lot of slashes, and then Huff and Puff will kill him on turn 2. So you can also heal Therion, heal Aubrey with Alphen if needed. Gonna pick up the Thunder Soulstone, just gonna finish up the chapter here. But yeah, we also optimize Albrecht. Okay, not just to give him the Force Shield to tank more hits, but also to give him the Forbidden Blade. And the Forbidden Blade, like the Knowledge Staff, has a very large increase in speed. So that's why Albrecht's able to go before the ads to use Insight most of the time. So yeah, not really going to be using the Forbidden Blade for damage. We're going to be using the Master Spear for damage. Forbidden Blade's mostly just for the speed. So hopefully Therion doesn't miss his steals here. Please Therion, don't miss this one. Nice, okay. So I didn't have to reset my reputation there. I don't know if you guys saw, but I only had 1 reputation left. So if he failed that last steal twice, I would have to go to the tavern to reset my reputation, which would take me about 25 seconds, so definitely helps there. To actually just get the steal. So yeah, I had a very good Noble Court section. Didn't need to reset my reputation once. And now we can do Therion's chapter 2 at last. Can finally finish it. So we've been warping in and out of Noble Court just to finish his chapter. Just to progress with his chapter. Now we can finally finish it. And like his chapter 1, his chapter 2 dungeon is also a Mance type dungeon. So instead of running and taking the encounter this time, because it's a higher level area, I'm not going to be able to escape from it very quickly. So I'm going to do a save and quit here. So not with a save point, but with the auto save, because even though your step counter doesn't reset, entering the next screen actually does still give you an autosave on the previous screen, so you can use that for a save and quit. Yeah, so Alphen's Lion Dance is lasting 3 turns because I gave him a passive skill known as Show Goes On. This makes his buffs last 1 more turn than normal. So from 2 turns, which is the normal duration for Lion Dance, it goes up to 3 turns, which is coincidentally how long all these fights are gonna take. Okay, so inside to draw the attacks again.
Here we go.
And Lion Dance again. So this fight is very similar to Vanessa. Again, we want Albrecht to insight to draw the attacks. Nice thing is that these ads don't quite deal quite enough damage, quite as much damage as the Vanessa's ads. Got augmentation, which is nice. Sometimes you can use magic missile, which is annoying because if you take a lot of damage, you can actually Albrecht can actually die to magic missile, which deals about 500 damage.
Here goes nothing. How do you like this?
Gonna use the Concoct here to take off shields again. And yeah, I use Spear Hit there because Spear Hit acts puts you at the front of the next at the start of the next turn, but also deals 1 hit of spear damage. So 1 hit of spear. So it gives us enough shield hits to break Orbrick, to break Orlick. Okay, this is actually a range. I think yeah, poison will take him out.
That's what I'm talking about.
Yeah, nothing really happens if you miss the range. You just like kill him out the next turn. So I'm gonna do another menu here. First, I'm gonna swap the party order, and then now I'm gonna give Therion free merchant skills, unlocks endless items, and grows on trees. And this puts Cyrus back onto Scholar, so I'll teach him Firestorm. And now you get Last Stand, and back to Hunter, and then you get. Oh wait, before that you get Thousand Spear. Then you get 2 merchant skills. This 2, and now you're ready. Oh, I forgot to give Alphen. Yeah, I forgot to give Alphen endless items. Yeah, okay. So there we go. And there we go. So yeah, that menu is where we teach all of our characters endless items. Endless items is a passive skill which allows you to get back an item which you just used at a 25% rate. So 25% of the times when we throw our large soul stones, we're going to it's gonna be as if we never used that stone. So that's gonna be we're gonna hope to save stones using that method, using endless items. And yeah, there are some resources that we can try to save. Stones are the main thing that we want to save because they are very limited, and picking up stones is pretty slow. So we actually don't route the required number of stones to complete it. We don't pick up as we don't pick up as many stones as we need to finish the run. We route fewer stones than is required and assume that we save stones. That way we can save time not having to pick up those stones which we require, because we can just assume that we save them using endless items. And even if we do not get the endless items proc, it doesn't actually kill the run. You just need to go and pick up those stones, which I say is slow. It's slow if you're going for like a PB, but I mean, if you have to spend 16 seconds to go and pick up a stone, it's not really a big deal in the marathon setting. Let's chuck a fire on this guy. Yeah, fire or thunder works here. You want to save your wind stones for the boss here. So yeah, using the Master Spear here for the first challenge. And then, because the second dude isn't weak to Spear, I break him with the sword and then I chuck a stone on him. So Ogre's Chapter 2 is kind of special. Instead of a dungeon, you have like this gauntlet of bosses. Or like mini bosses. So the first one here is Victorino. He has like a pirate gang. Thankfully, they're all like pretty weak. So, yeah, it's not very difficult. They're all weak to sword. Victorino's weak to sword, so you can use level slash here. And HP thief to take out some more shields. Oh, good thing he healed himself with HP thief there. Otherwise, he would have died. But yeah, lightning blast will break the ads. What's this again? Yeah, great. Because he's weak to the wind. And no defense drop, but that's fine. We have enough damage to kill him even without defense drop. It's a side effect of that concoct that we just used. I believe it's spearhead here. Amputation. Oh, I got rain. Ah, good thing. It's nothing. Yeah, I got ranged. That was pretty unlucky. I have never missed the range in practice. But yeah, I gave Cyrus Elemental Augmentation, which is a passive he unlocks from learning 3 Scholar skills. Whoops, I meant to scrutinize you there. Please scrutinize Cyrus. Yep, there we go. 60% is not like, it's not unreasonable. I want to pick up the ice large here because ice stones are really limited. So, and they're kind of it's useful for Obrecht's Chapter 3, so we want to pick this one up because it's the only ice large that we have access to before Obrecht's Chapter 3. Okay, inside here. Yeah, I gave Cyrus an Elemental Augmentation, which is a skill he unlocks by learning 3 Scholar skills, and this increases his elemental attack by 50, which actually is very relevant for this run. It's gonna be... it's gonna increase his elemental damage, and gonna be very important for dealing enough damage for a lot of the bosses later. Now, Vets is the fastest way to take out Josh right here, so we just break him with Staff and Axe, and then we use Vet. Oh, I got 2 medium, ice mediums from this fight. The ads can drop stones, but it's not guaranteed. But I got 2 ice mediums, so that's pretty nice. If you have like extra medium stones, you can actually use it to speed up some fights later. If you get a bad turn order. Alright, this is fine. Mainly you want to take off the ads before they move.
Take this.
So they go down to 1 fire L and then 1 more L stone. I'm gonna be wanting to save 1 stone by the end of this chapter, so I've thrown like 3 or 4 stones so far, but so far I haven't saved a single stone, so you're 25% to get 1, so kind of unlucky that I'm not getting a single proc. And this guy's like really easy to break, like everyone can break him. So you just want to break him however you want, and then on the end you just unload everything on him. Yeah, no armor corrosive needed for this fight. Armor corrosive, I haven't explained it yet, but if you've been paying attention, it's a debuff that increases physical damage to your opponents by 1.5 times. And we're using that in conjunction with Hired Help Veterans, because even though Veterans doesn't take into account your stats, the damage it deals is still based off the enemy's physical defense. So using Armor Corrosive is going to be able to stretch out our money even further. Alright, based on turn... if you get like bad turn order, this fight can get a bit dicey. Mainly you want to take out the ads before they move. Oh, I got 1 proc. That's really nice. So if Endless Items works, you get kind of a glint beside your character when you use the item. I'm just gonna use Cyrus's Blizzard here. You can use a stone as well, if Cyrus is not able to kill the ads. But yeah, basically when the ads are under 50% health, which is when you use 2 stones on them, so 1 large stone and 1 medium stone, they use this skill called Extreme Charge, which can stun your party, which is really bad. So you definitely don't want Extreme Charge. So you want to see like 3 characters before them, or like 1 character and then 2 characters afterwards, just so you can kill them without bringing you don't sorry, just like doing the fight. Yeah, so just so you don't get Extreme Charge, you don't bring them below half health before they take a turn. But other than that, the fight's like pretty free. And I even got one proc on my Elstone, which is basically just what I needed to see. So that allows me to skip having to pick up one Soulstone before Ulbrich's Chapter 3. So I just saved myself 16 seconds there having to pick up the a stone. So that's what I mean by routing fewer stones than picking up fewer stones than is required for the route. So we have to go back to the first screen on Victor's Hollow to finish Ulbrich's Chapter 2. So instead of running all the way back, we're gonna go and pick up some more money first, so that when we warp back to Victor's Hollow, we are on the first screen. And here I'm gonna pick up 30,000 leaves, and I'm also gonna pick up this Revitalizing Gem here, which is a very strong item. So Revitalizing Gem is kind of like a pomegranate, except it gives you max BP. It gives you max BP, max HP, and max SP, which isn't really relevant. The main thing you want is the BP. And this is very important because it's gonna make a strat for an upcoming boss possible later. So just keep that in mind that we picked up the Revitalizing Gem. So this is kind of like after Cyrus's Chapter 2. So because we're in Victor's Hollow, we can go and tag another town that we need to tag. So you kind of want to take advantage of the fact that finishing chapters of your location right after finishing chapters and do exploration or tag town, do exploration or whatever you need to do when you're in that area instead of having to warp back an extra time at another point just to do it. So that's why we do things in a certain order. That's why we go to Riverford and Orwell after Cyrus's Chapter 2, and that's why we go to Northreach after Ulbrich's Chapter 2. So on the way to Northreach, the screen is very long. You're always gonna get an encounter. So normally that'd be really bad, but the good thing about this encounter is that it's always the same on this screen. So the first encounter you get on this screen is always the same. It's always gonna be these two lizards. And both of those lizards are weak to X. Oh my god, I got a chubby. No, that's actually really annoying. I'm gonna hope it flees. No, stop. So annoying. Jeez. Okay, there we go. Okay. So I got like a very rare encounter here called a Chubby Kate. It's a 3% spawn in this map. And it's actually really annoying because normally what happens is that you get these two lizards and they're both weak to axe. So you can just use bandits to break them and run. And they don't like to attack you, they like to lower your stats. So normally the encounter is really not very dangerous. And your characters are pretty buffed up anyway. Wait, I believe... was it Therion? Did he survive with like 1 HP or something? He survived with 1 HP? I didn't notice that. He survived with 1 HP. That's really insane. But yeah, getting the chubby is annoying.
Hey.
Because the chubby has a lot of shields, so you're not able to break it outright with bandits. And it has very high evasion, so if you want to hit it with your weapons, you're gonna be missing a lot of time. So fortunately I did hit it. And so you kind of just wanted to run away. They have a pretty high chance of fleeing, but it used village. It didn't run away because they wanted to troll me. So that was pretty sad. Yeah, so I was very shocked by the fact that he lived with 1 HP because there's a skill layer that we want to get called Hang Tough that allows your characters to live with 1 HP. So at first I didn't pay attention because I was like, okay, yeah, it's Hang Tough. He'll just live with 1 HP. But then I realized that Therion actually doesn't have Hang Tough on him yet. So he lived with 1 HP just because he got like the absolute most ideal quote-unquote ideal roll. Yeah, he just got a really lucky roll. Pretty sure he could have died. But I'm actually not gonna heal Therion because this upcoming fight, these upcoming fights are all gonna be physical. And Ulbrich already has cover, so I don't need to heal Therion. Because if he's gonna get hit by an attack, Ulbrich's just gonna take it for him. Alright, so before the next boss, you have like this counter. Yeah, last stand. It's an AoE axe attack. But that's not what its main purpose is. We're gonna be making a lot of use of last stand later, so I'll explain it when we get there. But for the purposes of this forced encounter, it's just gonna be an AoE axe attack. They have about 1600 HP, so Lightning Blast deals about 1500, so you just need a bit more damage. Right, so Gareth. This fight can be scary if Ulbrich doesn't go first, because you want Ulbrich to draw away the attacks of the ads. Good thing he has the Forbidden Blade on him, so he's able to go pretty fast, pretty early. Oh, we actually have 1 ad before him, so it's a bit wonka, but shouldn't be too much of an issue. So yeah, recently came up with a safer strat for this fight. Basically, you just want Ulbrich to go before the... Oh, there we go, cover. There. Yeah, so use boost defend with Ulbrich, which is a special skill that he has. And what boosting Ulbrich's defense does is that it acts as insight, basically, while being defend. Yeah, energizing pomegranate.
I see. All right.
So yeah, we make use of Ulbrich's defend there just to protect everyone. And yeah, like I said, didn't need to heal Therion at all because he's just gonna be protected by Ulbrich. Alright, Spearhead. Gareth here actually doesn't have a lot of HP for a Chapter 3 boss. He only has 39,000 HP, whereas Chapter 3 bosses normally have at least 50,000 to 60,000. So that's why we are able to kill him pretty easily. In fact, some Chapter 2 bosses even have more HP than Gareth. So that kind of just shows you how little HP he has. Oh, I forgot to go to the shop. That's fine. I'll just go to the shop here. So yeah, we want to do Therion's Chapter 2 first because it puts you back in Boulder Fall. Then you can just warp back to Wellspring. I'm gonna go to the shop here. Actually, this shop is probably faster. Yeah, I just want to sell the money items here. Because you're gonna need a bit more money for the upcoming fights. Gonna steal some money items from this guy. It's 80%, so pretty easy steal. And then for Ulbrich's Chapter 3 fights, you have like 2 forced encounters, which you're gonna want to clear out with stones. And the second wave is dies to 1 large ice and any M stone. That's why you want the Ice L for this fight, for this chapter, basically. Because they have about 43,000 HP. The first fight has about 38,000 or 3,800. I didn't mean to say 1,000. Yeah, 3,800 or so. So nothing.
My turn. Take this.
We can just use a large soulstone of any element to kill them, along with a medium soulstone. Yeah, but the second wave has about 4,300. That's why we need a bit more damage. That's why we need the large ice soulstone.
My turn. Take this.
Oh god, nice. I got another prop.
No.
So yeah, I have like extra medium stones, so I'm actually just gonna use those. If you don't have the medium stones to spare, you can just use Cyrus's Blizzard, which will deal enough damage. But yeah, Ulbricht's chapters are like pretty resource intensive. Not only do you need vets for some of his challenges, but you also need stones to kill encounters like these. So yeah, Ulbricht's definitely where a lot of the resources in this run are catered towards. Alright, so this upcoming fight with the Lizardman Chief, I used to do it with 2 veterans, but I recently came up with a new strategy to save 1 vets by using an extra L stone and M stone.
I will not fail.
So it saves me 30,000 leaves, which saves me time because I don't have to go and pick up extra money. So yeah, what you do here is you mercs. Oh, a bit unlucky. Turn order. Could have used HP Thief, but show off. Rat here.
How do you like this?
So basically what you do is you take off shield, leave him with 2 shields, and then you defend with Cyrus to break him with Lightning Blast on the next turn. And this deals damage to the ads as well, so they die to any L-stone here. Yeah, so now you use Armor Corrosive.
The battle is truly joy.
Yeah, you can just use any stone here. They all die to a Windstone, but if you don't have a Windstone there, it's fine. And then yeah, you use an M stone here. Actually, I think Amputation would probably be fine. Or maybe not. Yeah, just use an M stone. And now we use the vents. But yeah, I used to pick up an extra 30,000 leads from Maw of the Ice Dragon, which is on the way to Northreach. But now that we do this strat, we can skip that chest, so that saves us about 30 seconds over the previous route.
Try again.
And this fight gives us the Lizard King's Axe. And the Lizard King's Axe is going to be a critical item for Cyrus later, for our damage later. Because basically what it does is that it increases all your lightning damage by 30%. So this applies to Soulstones. We're not actually going to be using it to boost our Soulstones damage, but we're going to be using it to boost the damage of Lightning Blast. The only problem is that Cyrus doesn't have access to axes, because Scholars can't equip axes. So that's where the Hunter job comes into play. So by giving the Hunter class to Cyrus, we can equip him with axes. We can let him equip axes, so he's able to enjoy the benefit of the Lizard King's Axe, boosting his Lightning Blast damage. And the Lizard King's Axe is going to be a very critical item for the rest of this run, because the damage is going to be very relevant for all of the upcoming boss fights. Gonna steal another Curious Boom here. We're gonna steal a Sleepweed as well, which is gonna give us Ice Element cocked with Alphen. Now we go over to Northreach. So this is Therion's Chapter 4 town. We want to come here first because there's a forced encounter we have to take first, and then we warp out and warp back in later. I'm gonna pick up the Master's Longbow first, and I'm gonna do a menu. Okay, so first thing, yeah, in this menu I give everyone Hang Tough. So I explain Hang Tough. I'll explain it later. Give you Eagle Eye for more critical, and then I put you back here. And now you get this. Now you get Hunter. And get Hang Tough. So I give everyone Hang Tough, and Therion's gonna be the dancer now. Got this. Eye. Yeah. Yeah, that looks good. Oh no, the equipment. So now we give you the Lizard King's axe, and then we take off the empowering ring, and we give it to Ogre. So that menu is very important because you want to give Hang Tough to everyone. Hang Tough allows everyone to survive any attack that would kill them as long as they were above 30% HP. So if you're familiar with like Pokemon, it's kind of like Sturdy except a lot more busted. Because you just need to refresh your HP. And then you get to use Hang Tough again.
I think not.
And yeah, this is very useful because all of the bosses upcoming will have AoE. Most of the bosses that are coming up will have AoE attacks, so they're gonna be hitting everyone.
No, you don't.
But with Hang Tough, we can survive those attacks. The Lightning Blast, as you can see, deals a lot more damage now because of our
Try again.
newfound weapon, newfound power in Lizard King's axe, as well as the fact that we use Peacock on Cyrus. You're gonna see the full effects of the full benefit of the Lizard King's axe in the upcoming chapter 4 fight. Just gonna pick up the medium stone here just because it's free. And this is why we tag Sunshade, because now we need to go to Saint's Bridge. Alphin's chapter 3 is pretty much like Therion's chapter 2. You have to warp in and out a lot of times. Like, I think a total of like 2 times. Yeah, so it's the same as Therion's chapter 2. You have to warp in and out 2 times. So that's why we want to go here now, so we can start it early. And the reason why we go to Saint's Bridge now as well is because now we're at level 23. Oh, wow, this encounter is so unlikely.
This is the beginning of your end.
We're at a higher level. I think we can run. Okay. It's because we are at level 23. And at level 23 is when large soulstones become a 55% steal, up from 15%. So that's a huge increase in the probability of stealing those stones. And it just so happens that there are 2 large soulstones in Saint's Bridge that we can steal. So that's why we go to Saint's Bridge now. And we're gonna need at least 1 large stone for Darius. So assuming you have no stones at this point, you definitely need to come to Saint's Bridge first to pick up the stone. We're gonna trigger the cutscene here in the tavern. And then we're gonna steal the shadow stone from the knight outside the church. 55% chance, so you should be getting it. Usually, unless you're really unlucky. And coming up, we have another steal, except it's not 55%. It's the infamous 3% steal. So, as part of Therion's chapter 4, you have to deal... Oh my gosh. Cyrus, please. No! I failed 30%, 70% free time. That's less than 3%. But yeah, you have to do this 3% steal. Okay, no. Is mandatory to proceed with the story. And the level at which this steal becomes a higher percent is like level 30 something. And it only becomes 8%. So yeah, you're going to be stuck with 3% for this run, for this category. But fortunately for us, resets in this town are really cheap. It's cheaper than any other town in this game. Oh, there you go. That's a 6th try, I believe. That was really fast. Alright, so gonna do... yeah, I'm gonna sell first. Yeah, just gonna sell stuff now. Yeah, so I went to the shop there. I purchased a critical bracelet for Alphen. So remember when I said Hang Tough is gonna allow our characters to live with 1 HP? So the skill Last Stand, which we taught to Alphen, deals damage inversely proportional to his HP. So at 1 HP, it's gonna be dealing the max damage. And we're going to be using that for all of the bosses. Pretty much most of the bosses upcoming that are going to be putting Alphen to 1 HP. And the problem with Last Stand is it doesn't have a very high... it doesn't have a critical modifier. So Amputation actually gives a plus 100 critical stat when you're using it. So it means that you're very likely to crit with Amputation. Pretty much guaranteed. But Last Stand doesn't have that, so that's why we need the extra critical. Not just with the critical bracelet, but also with the Gareth's helm, the critical lard, the crit L nut that we picked up from the quest earlier, and also Eagle Eye, which is a passive that you unlock from the hunter class on Alphen. So we give him all that critical because we need him to crit. To get that extra damage on the bosses upcoming. So yeah. This fight's pretty simple. Now I want to defend with Ulrich, so he goes before Alphen. I use Healing Great Bunch here to make sure everyone's at full. Because he's gonna AoE again when after the break. And this is where we're gonna use the Revitalizing Jam. So once I unload my first set of vets here, Ulbricht's gonna be at 0 BP. And he's not gonna gain any BP this turn because he already boosted this turn. So what I'm gonna do is I'm going to give the Revitalizing Jam to Ulbricht. So he's gonna enjoy the maximum amount of BP that's going to be restored to him. I also duped the Revitalizing Jam, which is pretty nice, I guess. So yeah, now he's going to AoE us again, and this sets Alphen up for a Last Stand. So now I'm going to use this Concoct here to take off 3 shields. And here I'm going to collect Darius. So collecting gives me 30,000 leaves because Darius has a lot of money. And I believe you defend. And now I use a Palm L with you. And yeah, I glossed over the Lightning Blast damage, but it's a lot of damage, basically. With Peacock Strut, Lightning Blast, and Elemental Augmentation, Cyrus is dealing so much damage here. Speaking of damage, Last Stand is gonna hit damage cap here. And they're gonna throw stones at him. Throw a stone as well. Yeah, you can see how important last stand hang tough is. Not just for survivability, but also for the damage with Alphen's last stand. Because this out damages amputation by a very large amount. But yeah, the revitalizing gem allows us to collect Darius and also use a max boosted vets at the last turn. So very useful there. Collecting chapter 4 bosses, if you can collect them, usually give 30,000 leaves. So that's one set of vets there. And it's literally, yeah, it's really just free money that you can take from Darius. So definitely want to collect him. Now we're back in Saintsbridge. And after Darius, actually the success rate of stealing the Elstones goes up to 65%. So that's why I'm gonna steal the second stone now. And I stole an extra pomegranate in Northreach, so if I didn't steal that one, I will steal one here, but don't need to. And yeah, like I said, 65%. Oops. There we go. Oops. If you have the reset reputation here, it's 8,000, which is a bit expensive, but there are definitely extra sources of money you can pick up later. So yeah, after this inquiry, we have to go back to the first screen, but if you've been following what we've been doing, we are going to come back later. So now we're going to do Cyrus's chapter 3. Go over to Stoneguard. And Stoneguard, if you notice in its name, there's stone in its name. Which means there are stones in this town for you to steal. Yeah, there are free Elstones here that you can steal, so having access to them definitely helps for the stone routing. So yeah, it's kind of like Cyrus's chapter 2. You just have to do a few scrutinizes and then you have to not steal. You have to answer a quiz. So gonna do this last scrutinize here and then yeah, no, not scrutinize. You have to steal. We can steal the stones here. So you gotta fire L from this guy. Now we answer the quiz. Again, we know the answers already. So it's free. Option free. Yeah, and then there are 2 stones that we want to steal here. So yeah, it definitely sucks if like you run out of reputation and you can't steal stones. So that's where endless items procs helps as well. It relieves the pressure of having to make all your steals. Fun fact, the chest in this trap, which has a bone, is missable. One of the only missable chests in this game, I believe. So this upcoming fight, Yvonne, which is Cyrus's chapter 3, normally is a pretty scary fight because his ads have an AoE attack called Tornado, which deals a lot of damage. So it bypasses cover, and it can bypass Hang Tough as well if multiple ads use Tornado. But good thing Ulrich and Cyrus are both pretty speedy because of the weapons that we gave them. So usually they're able to go before the ads to break them. So we want to defend with Alphen. This puts him at the start. So we can break Yvonne first. So we deal the max amount of damage to him with the stones that we're gonna throw now.
Is truly joy. Have a taste of this.
So yeah, this damage is really calculated. I boosted with Cyrus on the first turn just because I needed that extra damage to kill the ads here with 2 stones. And the bandits as well, it actually does matter. Okay, so here Alphen is going before Therion. This means that I'm not able to get Lion Dance up for this amputation. Collect. This means that I'm lacking about 3000 damage from that amputation, so I have to make up some of that damage with Lightning Blast here. So this gives me enough damage to kill Yvonne. Yeah, Mom M Alphen. Dagger.
Go. How do you like this?
Cocked. Useless proc there. Also got the poison proc, which isn't useful. Firestorm here to break him. And no poison take. Nice. It's, yeah, amputation here. So yeah, if you don't get the amputation off, if you get the amputation off before Lion Dance, then you have to use the Lightning Blast there to deal enough damage. So yeah, this should be enough damage to kill Yvonne here. Yep. So that's Yvonne, and then now we got Miguel. Upcoming fight. So Miguel's probably my first we go. Probably not my favorite boss strat in this category. Because up to now we're used to kind of like killing chapter 3 bosses with 1 bets. Well, not really. actually all of the chapter 3 bosses in this category now only take 1 bets. But normally, let's say in a single story run, which is a shorter category, and your characters don't have access to weapons, you're gonna need 2 veterans to kill most chapter 3 bosses. You're gonna need 2 veterans to kill most chapter 3 bosses, but Miguel actually takes 1 bets to kill just because we have so many weapons and soul stones. And depending on whether Alphen's Concoct lowers Miguel's defense, you can even save an extra large soul stone. We hit all of our steals up to this point, so we're pretty good on stones. So even if we do not get the defense drop here, we're still good with stones. So the reason why I need stones is because of Ulbricht's chapter 4 and Alphen's chapter 4. Ulbricht's chapter 4, we're gonna need the stones for a challenge. And then Alphen's chapter 4 is gonna be the last one that we complete. And we're gonna sell all our weapons there so we don't have access to the axe anymore and the Viper Dagger. So we're gonna be using stones to deal the rest of the damage that we lost.
Here we go.
Alright, so if I get a proc here, nice, I got a proc. So I'm able to do a different strat here. So instead of using armor corrosive with Therion, I can Lion Dance himself. He can Lion Dance himself. So this gives his HP thief a lot more damage. And instead of using an L stone here, I can use an M stone. Just because I have the extra damage from Lion Dance HP thief. That's a lot of damage. 9,000.
Have my way is un.
I believe this is almost 10,000 damage. Really nice. Yeah, an amputation here is going to be able to take him out.
Try again.
Alright. That was pretty good. Yeah, after Miguel's Lucia. So now we're gonna go back to Clearbrook. We're gonna want to pick up some important items to prepare for the upcoming Chapter 4 fight. So once I'm back at Clearbrook, I'm going to inquire this guy or scrutinize him. Both do the same thing. So Alphin's path action inquire is basically scrutinize, except it's locked by a level gate instead of a percentage. Let's steal another Curious Bloom here. We haven't used any Curious Bloom so far, but we're gonna use one right in the next fight. Gonna pick up the Essence of Pomegranate that we inquired, and then we're gonna steal another Essence of Pomegranate for Meryl here. Sadly, not gonna help her, if you know what that means. We're not gonna help her find a mother. Alright, so yeah, another kind of a quiz. Just select option 2 for everything. And having Therion for this category definitely helps a lot. Because, for example, there's 50,000 in this dungeon that is in a purple chest. So definitely helps out a lot of the money route. Just because we don't have Tressa doesn't mean we don't have money. Because as long as we have Therion, we get access to a lot more money than we would have otherwise. So it's a shame that I can't show off like the other half-game categories, just so you can see the differences in strategies that we use. Like, all males is probably the polar opposite of all females when it comes to strategies used for money and damage. All females actually uses veterans very extensively for damage, whereas all males skims out a lot on the veterans and replaces that damage with weapons. And because you have 2 merchants and all females, you can actually collect a lot of bosses for money. And that allows you to make up for the fact that you don't have Therion in the party to get more money and items to sell with. And pick up more stones. I actually have more stones than I need at this point, which is fine. More stones definitely don't hurt. Alright, so this fight can go a bit wrong if you get really unlucky. Basically, what you're gonna want to look for is 2 extra hits. So Rain of Arrows and 1,000 Spears can hit between 3 to 7 times. So you're gonna need at least 2 extra hits, assuming all the normal number of hits is 3. So Lucia here, she does the same moves every turn. But the order is random, so we know exactly what she's gonna do. We just don't know the order she's gonna do it with, so we plan around that. Her gimmick is that she starts off with 30 shields, and you have to break all the shields before you actually start to deal any meaningful damage to her. So this fight is really cool. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna give everyone BP, and I'm just gonna start to take off her shields. Alright, so there's 1 extra hit. And we're gonna want to heal Obreak up here. Alright, so still just 1 extra hit. Alright, so this is the first Curious Bloom that we're gonna use. We're gonna use Curious Mist, and not only does this heal everyone up so that they can survive another sweep with Hang Tough, it also gives Obreak immunity from status effects. Because on this turn, turn 3, nice, we got all the extra hits that we need. this turn on turn 3, she's going to use an attack that will stun Ulbrich. So by using Curious Mist, we can protect from that. And Lion Dance yourself. Show goes on here, making sure that we have enough turns with our Lion Dance. So here comes the sweep. Puts Alphen at 1 HP. This is the last sweep that she'll be using. And here comes Wallop, which is the attack that can stun Ulbrich. And now we're not going to take any more hits. So everyone's in cover range. We're going to sidestep because that's going to give us guaranteed evasion from all physical attacks. And with sidestep and cover, she's never going to touch anyone from this point. Because all of her attacks from now will be single hit. Single target, actually, is what I meant to say. So as you can see, Ulbrich's just going to protect everyone. Alright, gonna defend with Cyrus here. And gonna Peacock Strut Cyrus. And this is the best concoct here. Give 2 BP to everyone. Basically a Palm M for everyone. Again, not gonna lay your finger on anyone just because of the fact that we have sidestep and cover. Okay, so yeah, now I can break Lucia. And with all the buffs and debuffs that we have done, now we're gonna deal all the damage that we need to kill Lucia in just 2 turns. So fortunately for us, Lucia only has about 84,000 HP, which is the lowest amount of HP that any Chapter 4 boss has. So it kind of balances out the fact that she is a pain to break. And yeah, deal damage to, essentially. And your Lightning Blast. And one last stand will be able to take her out here. There we go. This calls for surgery.
That's what I'm talking about.
So yeah, very cool strat. Definitely feels good to pull it off. Lucia is a pain to route around just because of the fact that she has so many shields, and her defense is extremely high before you break her. So you need to plan to find in such a way that you get enough shields taken off of her, and then on top of that, you need to make sure that you get enough damage in on the turns that she is broken. Because if you don't deal enough damage to her, she's gonna kill everyone on the next turn. Unless you heal everyone up, but I mean that's really slow. You basically want to kill her within the first 7 turns. After the first break, she changes all of her weaknesses to elemental weaknesses. And yeah, so she becomes even more of a pain to break. She has 15 shields. Alright, now we're back in Riverford, so we can do the challenge now. So this is what we needed the stones for. Specifically, we need a Wind Soulstone, so that's why we stole one in Saintsbridge. So now we need a Wind Soulstone because he's weak to wind. We're gonna use it to take off 1 shield, in addition to dealing an extra 800 damage to him. Yep, there we go. Bring him down to 1 shield, and then we use Veterans here to break him and to deal damage as well. And then we use 1 more large Soulstone to finish him. There we go. I have a lot of stones here, so I'm good for Eagle. The last boss fight of this run, where we need 3 Owl stones. Oh yeah, something I glossed over is that you actually have to end the run with the first character that you started with. So we started with Cyrus, which means we have to finish the run with Cyrus's last chapter. But if you recall, I said that Eagle was the last boss that we will be facing. So the reason for that is actually because Cyrus's chapter 4 is kind of special. before you actually finish this chapter, there are still a bunch of errands that you have to do, which is what you saw me do there. I went around scrutinizing a bunch of books. And before the last scrutinize you have to do, which is on the previous screen, you can actually warp out of Dust Barrow. So you can actually go and do other character stories before you actually want to finish Cyrus's chapter 4. So this gives us a lot of flexibility in the way we order our fights in this category. So we can do Cyrus's chapter 4 early to take advantage of the fact that we actually profit off of Lucia because there's so much money in the dungeon and we only use 2 vets on Lucia. So we take advantage of the fact that we profit off of Lucia. Hold on, I'm just gonna do this menu first. Yeah. Gonna unequip Olbrich and then... yeah, that's enough money. Take advantage of the fact that we profit off of Lucia. Take advantage of the fact that she gives us a pomegranate L, which will be useful for the upcoming fights. And then not finish Cyrus's chapter 4 and go do other chapter 4s before finishing the run. So this fight here is also pretty cool. Werner... Normally chapter 4 bosses take 4 vets, but because we are so powerful, we can use 2 vets for this fight. So I'm going to show you how we do that. Alright, so on the first turn, Werner can terror people. Terror prevents you from gaining BP and using BP. So what's going to happen here? No terror, so that's fine. Yeah, Lightning Blast here. And you're noticing in a lot of these fights, I'm actually using Peacock Strut twice. So this is just so I don't have to boost. Okay, yeah, normally I'll use Curious Mist there to protect from Terror, but since we didn't get Terror, that's fine. Now we break here. Oh, I didn't max boost. I wanted to show off the strat here, but that's fine. Gonna throw a stone here. Element doesn't matter. Even though I get boosted damage here, element doesn't matter. And here actually what you want to do is, assuming that you used all your BP, you want to use the red apple here, which is a drop you get from Darius, which restores 5 BP, so it's like the Rev Gem. And now we use Curious Mist to protect everyone. Oh, I didn't save any Curious Blooms so far, so I'm gonna have to get 2 extra Curious Blooms. Yeah, so double Peacock Strut. This gives us the ability to get Peacock Strut on Cyrus for the entire fight without having the boost, because we need the boost for Armor Corrosive. And now we're gonna use 1 vets. And Werner, like every other boss, will put us, will AoE us right after the break. And we use Curious Mist to protect from Terror because the sweep can terror people. I believe you palm out yourself. Yeah. And you lion dance yourself.
How do you like this?
Yeah, and by having max BP right after the first bandits, we have enough BP to take off 4 shields from Werner this turn, and now we give an energizing Palm L to Olbrich so you can max vets on the next turn. Last stand again because we're at 1 HP. Lightning Blast again. You've seen this strat before. Lightning Blast. Last stand. HP Thief as well. And 1 more vets. So 2 vets in total for Werner, who has about 101,000 HP. So that Werner has this 3rd highest amount of HP out of all the chapter 4 bosses. But 2 vets is all you need. Alright, so that's Olbrich's chapter 4. And depending on how many Curious Blooms you save via endless items, you you can actually skip having to do the steals here. So because I didn't save any, I have to steal 2 Curious Blooms here. But before that, I'm gonna go to the shop. I'm gonna take off the Viper Dagger and the Death Cleaver because I'm gonna need to sell them for money here. And basically I'm gonna need 90,000. Yeah, okay, there we go. We have a lot of money because we cater money for the 3% steal and rep resets in this run. So because I got a very early 3% steal, I have a lot of extra money left over. Yeah, that I didn't use to reset my reputation. So you have about an extra 13 or 15,000 in this run for red resets. So definitely more than enough. And you can always get extra money later on if you had to use more than that allocated sum of money. So the highest amount of HP that any chapter boss has is 110. And that boss is Ogre Eagle. Yes, that's Alphen's chapter 4 boss. So Ogre Eagle's kind of a pain. He's really annoying to route. It's kind of like Lucia because number one, he has a lot of HP. So he has 110,000 HP. Like I said, it's the most amount of HP that any chapter 4 boss has. He has a buttload of defense. He has the highest oh, oops. I always forget where to go in this chapter. There are a lot of cutscenes here and a lot of places you need to go. And now we can see Alphen go back in time to miraculously recall a recipe that that some guy whispered to him like when he was young and sick. Okay, so Ogre Eagle, he has a lot of HP, he has a lot of defense, and on top of that, every attack that he does, every physical attack that he does can status you. And these status effects are bad because he can put you to sleep, he can confuse you. I think sleep and confusion are the only ones that are really bad. Yeah, he can sleep and confuse you, which obviously are really bad because then your characters can't do anything. So that's one. So, oh, oops. I wasn't supposed to talk to him, I was supposed to inquire him. So yeah, you don't want him to sleep or confuse you. And on top of that, he can also debuff your stats. So he can debuff your physical attacks. So even if, let's say, you have Death Cleaver on Alphen to take advantage of Hang Tough and Last Stand, if Eagle debuffs your defense, I mean your attack, if Eagle debuffs your attack, then all of a sudden that throws off your entire fight. Because now Alphen's gonna be doing a lot less damage than he would have otherwise. So it definitely makes sense to sell the weapons for, hey, we got the YOLO, let's go, gaming time. It definitely makes sense to sell the weapons for money. He doesn't debuff your elemental attack though, so that's why we can keep the knowledge stuff on Cyrus. Yeah, so knowledge stuff is the only it's the only weapon that we keep on all the way until the end of the run. So mainly we just don't want to see a bad status effect on the first turn, that's all. If Alphen or Ogre go before the Eagle, the fight is basically free. There we go. Basically just want someone to go either one of them to go before the first attack here. The second move, which is the first attack. So even if Ogre gets status here, it doesn't matter. Because you can just heal him off with Alphen. So yeah, I didn't get status here, so nothing. This fight is like pretty much guaranteed now. Curious Mist here will heal status and protect against status if Alphen goes before Eagle. Use the Ice Amp here. We actually don't have enough SP for this fight, so we can't use Blizzard here. Donate 1 BB to Therion so he has enough BB to break Eagle later. Yeah, so, oh yeah, another reason why Eagle is so annoying is because he's only weak to ice. Let's see. Sleepweed here. Yeah, that's why we need the Sleepweed so we can deal ice damage to him.
My turn.
Yeah. Peacock Strut here. And now we use the Curious Bloom. Another Curious Bloom to protect against the entire party because he's going to AoE physical attack everyone. And it hits 2 times, so you have 2 chances of getting bad status. So you definitely want to protect yourself here. So if Ogre goes before Eagle on the first turn, you can Insight, which draws the attack to him. And he has enough HP to tank the double ran here.
No, you don't.
With the healing from Curious Mist.
Victory shall be mine.
Yeah, revitalizing gem.
How about
So the revitalizing gem that I duped acts as a palm L here.
is unbent?
So I believe Eagle is the only chapter 4 boss in this run that we use more than 2 vets on. Just because of the fact that he has so much HP. And because he has so much physical defense, the vets actually don't deal as much damage as well.
How do you like this?
But good thing he doesn't have as much elemental defense, so Lightning Blast is still able to deal a lot of damage. But yeah, this will be the last vets of this run. And then 1 more stone should be able to finish him.
Take this.
There we go. So time is not after this boss. We still have to finish Cyrus's chapter 4. So if you recall, we warped out of Dust Sparrow to do the other chapters first, and now we have to finish Cyrus's chapter 4. Before that, we got lots of cutscenes because Alphen loves cutscenes. All of his chapters have a lot of cutscenes and a lot of walking around. So we have a grand total of 7 cutscenes after this. No, it's more than 7. It's 7 if you were doing it in a single story. Then the time would come at the end of this cutscene. And this will be after the credits, but obviously we don't get the credits here because it will come after Cyrus's chapter 4. So now we are back in Clearbrook, and then now we warp to Dust Sparrow. So yeah, now we just need to go and do the last scrutinize, do 1 last quiz, and then that will be time. Unless you get trolled by the encounter here. So you can actually get an encounter on the way to the mural, which is really, really rare. But it can happen, and has happened to me before. So as long as we don't get this encounter, we will finish the run. So there we go. So now we just got 1 last quiz. One, 2, and time will be right after this next question. And time. There we go. That is all males. And
GG
right
Quadra.
under estimate. So that's pretty nice. Thank you for the GGs.
Really great run. Any shout outs that you'd like to do before we head out?
Oh yeah, but of course, got some shout outs. Shout outs to the awesome Octpath community. Really supportive bunch of people, and definitely will be more than willing to help get you started with your first Octpath speedrun if you are so interested in speedrunning this game, which by the way is a great speedrun. Shout outs to the Singaporean speedrunning community, and of course shout outs to those that have helped me with this route, and those that have helped me with testing this route as well. Well, not really testing, I did most of the testing myself, but those that have ran with my route and given me feedback with the route. So yeah, a lot of effort has culminated in this run. really thank you everyone for your support. Thank you everyone for watching, and I hope you enjoyed the strats that I was able to show off this run. And if you are familiar with other runs of Octopath Traveler, I hope you enjoy the differences in the strats that this category of runs uses compared to, for example, a single story run or a full game run like all main stories or Goldera. So yeah, definitely really happy to be able to show this off. Yeah, that will be all from me.